Hello and welcome to this budget special episode of Investors Hangout. This interaction to help you learn and understand savings and investment issues is brought to you by 𝗖𝗵𝗽𝗀 Sun Life Mutual Fund and Value Research. Now, the Finance Minister presented the budget today. She announced special packages for a few states, some boost for employment and skilling opportunities, but there were some very important announcements for individual investors, and that's what we are here for. Let's break it down with Dhirendra Kumar. Welcome, Dhirendra.
Thank you.
The long-term capital gains tax, it goes up from 10% to 12.5%. It has come as a major disappointment to investors. Your word on that?
No, it's disappointing. One is disappointing, and even when it was introduced, I had my point that indexation is a very important thing. Government should recognize that if you earn money or if your investment appreciate as much as the inflation, so it has actually not grown. Still, you will have to pay tax. So the absence of indexation. So that is one big disappointment. Of course, one has to look at the short-term capital gains also going up from 15 to 20, and this going up from 10 to 12.5. So it is a little disappointing, but you don't have a choice. More important thing is that government is now progressing the new tax regime. And here I have a big problem, and the big problem is that the old tax regime is completely ignored, which means that Section 80C is gone. Section 80C is not relevant for most people, simply because government is encouraging all the provisions, all the new enablement has come in the new tax regime, and it is not even being talked about, not even being getting revised. Now the point is that most Indians got initiated to saving and investment because of Section 80C.
Right.
And that way, I think it may not be meaningful, but I think it is very crucial that people are encouraged to save, not only save, but make investment. And make investment because the whole problem is the short-term orientation that we see among investors.
Right.
Once you are forced to invest and you see the magic of compounding, and when you hold it for 3 years, and the forced holding of more than 3 years actually enhances your experience. So so on these fronts, I think it is disappointing. Of course, there are pluses on the NPS and other things, but this is surely.
But the exemption limit has also gone up from 1 lakh to 1.25.
Yeah, that is a small benefit, and it is you can say that this is a deal that has happened in lieu of the increase in the capital gains tax. Equity was exempt from capital gains tax till 28th of February 2018. Now, there was a provision made when that law came that, okay, from here on it will be taxed. All the gains accumulated on your investment till date is still grandfathered. If I have an old investment, 10-year-old, so all the old gains till February 28, 2018, that component of the gain is exempt. All the gains subsequent to that particular date is taxed, and that is called grandfathering. In this case, the introduction or the hike in the capital gains tax, short-term as well as long-term capital gains, there is no mention of grandfathering. If you sell tomorrow, and even today, you are liable for capital gains tax as of now, the changed one, which is either 20% or 10 or 12.5%, depending on long-term or short-term.
All right. Now, there's another announcement that among the others that impact the markets, the Securities Transaction Tax on F&Os, that has also gone up. And it's somehow in line with what SEBI has been saying so far. So, your take on that?
It's a policy decision. And government's incentive or disincentive by way of taxation is one way of controlling your behavior. And if the government is, has chosen to actually tax the F&O transaction, and it has gone up quite substantially, twice as much, because this is a very high turnover activity. And if you do that, what SEBI study came out with was that 90% people actually lose money.
Right.
As a result, because this is a transaction tax. This is not something which is capital gains. You will earn money, then you pay taxes. It is not that. If you trade in F&O, you will be liable for these, STT. This is Securities Transaction Tax. And as a result of this, I feel that, so far, 90% people used to lose money. Now it will be 95% people.
Now, to wrap this up, if you had to list 3 hits and 3 big misses,
3 hits is, a small reduction in your tax bill. So there is a nominal reduction because of the standard deduction that has been enabled now. And another slab getting created, so that will reduce taxes.
That's all for new tax regime.
That is all for new tax regime, but many people will actually start falling in the new tax regime. Then comes, I'm quite encouraged by the increase in the employer's contribution in NPS.
Right.
So far, government was contributing 14%, and that was employer's contribution for the government. And private sector was only permitted 10%. So now that can go up to 14%, and that is a long-term investment getting into NPS for a very important role. So that is government accepting this premise, or accepting this proposal to bring parity with government employees is a very encouraging thing. Then comes the NPS Vatsalya Yojana. This is interesting because NPS is a market-linked investment. So far, government has always encouraged saving for your girl child or your children or anybody into fixed income,
right.
Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana or whatever. Here, it is almost like a government-sponsored, low-cost, market-linked children plan.
Right.
And here, the child will become a major, and the investment will become his. So it could be a child's education fund, it could be child's wedding fund or whatever. So this is something which is introduction of a new product category in the framework of NPS, because NPS is a very proven design now. It's low cost, it's market linked, and it works perfectly, and it's very well regulated.
What about the misses?
It's not a miss, it's an imposition that now government will take higher capital gains tax. And, I'm principally opposed to capital gains tax simply because, capital gains is entirely a function of me investing in a stock. And it is, if I'm having some gain, it is basically the company has paid taxes. I'm actually selling my ownership of a company. And that appreciation should not be taxed because the company in the first place has paid the taxes. So on that front, I'm opposed to it. And increasing it by 25%, because going up from 10 to 20, 12.5 is 25% hike in capital gains tax. So that's disappointing. Second is that, I'm very much opposed to these two basic things, that ATC is being actively discouraged in the new tax regime. And indexation has still not been provided in any of these investments. So, government cannot really, levy taxes on appreciation, which might be lower than inflation. My money actually hasn't gone up. If my money grows by 5%, I have to pay tax on 5%, 12.5% of that if I hold it for 5 years. Effectively, my money has gone down in value. So the whole idea of incentivizing long-term saving was to encourage people and reduce taxes. Here, it is not reducing taxes. It is being, imposing something which is quite severe.
Okay, then hope you have understood the gist of today's budget. Keep watching the space for more information. If you like the show, do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Take care. Bye for now.